So today is going to be the last day of high moisture corn for 2020. We are on the Cardwell farm right now, which is about 5 miles north of the farm. Sarah's running the grain buggy, and she has truck 18 just about loaded. We can get about 2.5 dumps on these 10-wheelers, and she's got her third dump that she's taken out of this field here. And looks like she's just about getting ready to shut down there and move over to that red sterling. So this is the Cardwell farm here, and the old dairy barn and whatever used to set right inside, well, right on the other side of these pine trees here. They tore the barn down, oh, probably 15 years ago or so. And this is the four corners of Cedarvale and Seneca Turnpike. So they call this Card's Corners here, and it is named after the farm here that we are renting. There's a gas station there. It's a Circle K gas station. And there's a restaurant, which is finally ours right there, which that was the location of the old Pfeiffer's restaurant from back in the day. There also used to be, right directly in front of us, there used to be like a service repair garage, car service repair garage, and then that gas station that sits across the road there was built like 5 or 6 years ago. There used to be a smaller gas station there, and then more towards the actual corner on the opposite side, it was also, it was an old bar. There was a couple of different businesses that ran out of another little building that sat right on that corner opposite of where we are now. But this farm here, my grandfather started renting back in the late 60s, early 70s. There's about 85 acres here in all, and it's broke up in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's six fields, I believe there is, if I can count right here. So Sarah's moved over to the Sterling truck here. Like I was saying, this is broke up into 5 or 6 fields. Right about, let's see, about where just in behind where she's loading the trucks, there was a laneway that went down in between the field in front of her and the field in behind her. That was broke up into 2 fields there, and we've since have taken that laneway out and turned this into 1 field that's right in, all by the house and barn. And then there's an open ditch that runs down between the fields that are in front of us, and then there's a creek running in between. Well, the field where I'm at, I'm way out in the back field there, and there's a creek that runs down through the middle of the farm, more or less. Back when my grandfather started renting this farm, and my father started renting it after he was done with it, and now me and my brothers are renting it. Back when my grandfather started renting this, he did some custom work for different farmers around. He chopped hay and corn, built silo, and that's how he got acquainted with Morris Cardwell. He ended up filling his silo for a few years there before Cardwell here sold his cows. And then once Cardwell got done farming, he rented this farm here to my grandfather. And then once my grandfather retired, my father started renting it. So this farm is been rented by us, or rented by the family here, for nearly 50 years. And I can remember from back when I was a kid, it always seemed like this farm was, you know, it seemed like these fields were all, you know, just huge, you know. Of course, everything from when you were a kid. You remember it as being a lot bigger than it was. Now we're able to move the grain out of these fields with a grain buggy, and the combine never stops moving. But back when my grandfather was renting this farm, he had little combines and no grain cart to speak of, and unless the conditions were real dry, he had to move all the grain with the combine out towards the road here. And this laneway where it goes through all the little patch of woods here where it goes across the creek, that used to be a real mongrel to try to get trucks through. Now the field I'm in now is way up back here. We'll fly the drone out here, give you some shots of the combine. The field that I am flying over to talk of now is 17 acres. The field that I'm in is about 18. Then there's a field out behind it there on the other side of that hedgerow. To my left, it's about 5. And then there's another field that is down on Rowie Road, which is way up in front of me and on the other side of the woods, and that's about 18 or 19 acres. But like I was saying, back when we were kids, this seemed to be, you know, quite the farm. We always kind of farmed it last, and you kind of had to have all hands on deck back in the day when we farmed this, just because it was farther away from home. Yes, it was only 5 miles, but the only thing we trucked out of here was grain, and everything else we had to pull out of here with a tractor. If we were chopping hay, self-unloading wagons until later on, we pulled out of here with tractors. And if we were baling hay in here or baling straw, all the loads of baled hay and baled straw had to be moved with a tractor. Now later on, we ended up putting hitches on the back of the larger trucks that we used for grain. And these trucks were only, you know, like there was an International S1600, which was a single axle. Had a couple of Fords back then, an F700, an F7000, and these trucks were all single axle trucks with grain boxes on them. And we ended up putting, my grandfather and father ended up putting hitches on these trucks so that they could pull self-unload wagons. And this farm here, being that it was farther away from home, they would pull the self-unload wagons with the grain trucks, being that the grain trucks were a little bigger and they could handle you know, stopping these self-unloading wagons that had, you know, 8-9 ton on them. So this other field that I was talking about is on the other side of this woods here, and maybe we'll try to get up in the air to kind of show you where that is. But we had a lot of memories from this farm dating way back when I was a little kid. And back when my grandfather first started renting it, he had a couple of old John Deere combines. I know he had 2, and I don't know if one time if he ever had 3 or not. But he had another neighbor farm friend of his had one of the same size combines. So more than so one of his friends had the same size combine, and it wasn't heard of. It wasn't unheard of, rather, to not see 3 of them combines working on the same farm. It was in 1973 or 74, if I remember the story right. Snow kind of came in early that year, and I believe they were in this field over here on the other side of the hedgerow with a couple of The combines were like John Deere 40s or John Deere 45s, which they would have been two-wheel drive combines. I think one of the combines that my grandfather had, I don't even think it had a cab on it. Well, it got snowing when they were over here. They weren't quite done with this one field, and it got snowing, and they ended up leaving the combines right in the field. They thought it was only going to be a couple days, but it ended up being a couple of months. And back in the 70s, four-wheel drive trucks weren't really all that popular then, and they were just kind of unnecessary, really, you know, back then. But in order to get to the combine, you know, they had no other way to get to the combine unless they had a four-wheel drive truck. And my Uncle John ended up buying his first four-wheel drive truck just so that they could get to the combines that year. Now I'm just kind of going off of memory from what I was told when I was a little kid. I might have the story off a little bit as far as the exact year, but I know the truck was a 74 Ford F-250, and it took them a couple of days anyways to get them combines going. They had to put jumper cables on them, new batteries. The combines were froze up because they had snow in them, and then once they got the combines going, they were able to run on the frozen ground to finish harvesting the corn crop that year. So we're moving right along here. Of course, we're only running a 6-row head. They were running 3 and 4-row heads back then, but we have the beauty of the grain buggy to get the grain out of here, and now things are going quite smoothly. Now, this year, Jared, he ended up doing a lot of big baling with the 4620. We got a lot of comments about, you know, that tractor's too small for the baler, and, you know, you need to have more tractor on there. And yes, you know, there is some truth to that. You know, you do want a bigger tractor, but back in the day when we farmed this, the biggest tractors we had were a 4430, a 4440 was brand new, from when I can remember being back in here, and we farmed this a lot of years with little two-wheel drive tractors pulling pull-type choppers with self-unloading wagons up to them. Now, right where the combine is now, there's quite a good-sized side hill on this one headland, and you had to make sure you planted a lot of rows on the headland so that you weren't turning around on the end of the field like I just did with a full load of haylage or a full load of bales behind a kicker baler. So there's a lot of ground around here that is hilly that we learned how to manage the equipment years and years ago, working on these hills with, you know, maybe a tractor that wasn't quite sized big enough for the implement that you were towing. So Sarah's just come through the hedgerow there. I am almost full here. Grain tank, that is, on the combine. So we'll just come down. We'll try to get a little closer to the combine here. I'll look over in my window and see what I've got. Yeah, I'm just about ready to offload. So I also get a lot of questions on why we have that tarp on the combine. And it's just on there simply to keep the grain that's in the grain tank dry when it rains. Now, you don't typically harvest anything in the rain, but I have combine corn in the drizzling rain. As long as the sieves don't plug up, I combine right along. I actually combined a week ago. It rained all day. So we're almost ready to offload on Sarah. And let me get the auger swung over on the combine here. And she should be moving up into place here in a minute. But yeah, getting back to the tarp on the combine, it's also real handy to have that tarp when you're doing wheat. It just seems like the thunderstorms are a little more prevalent and a little more severe right during that wheat harvest time. And wheat will grow, wheat will seed itself and grow on a gravel driveway. And anybody knows that if you get wheat in a grain tank that holds up, get it wet, it starts growing. And the tarp kind of helps keep everything dry so you don't have spilt grain growing in the grain tank. And it also keeps the inner components of the combine dry at all times. That grain tank's a lot of surface area for rainwater to just, you know, run right down through when it does rain, in the event that your combine's outside, whether you're, you know, between crops or you get done harvesting and you end up getting caught in a rainstorm. So let me see if I can offload on the go here and keep this drone focused in on the grain buggy and the combine here. So I don't have auto steer on the combine. It is auto steer capable. I've got the display in there to be able to run auto steer, but I don't currently have a steer motor on the steering wheel of the combine. The 9560 combine, I don't think, I just flew past where I am here. I wasn't paying attention to the drone, and I'm kind of close to the trees here, so I'm surprised I didn't end up putting it into a tree. I ended up crashing into a tree on the other side of where the combine is right now with a previous drone. I had planted corn one night in the dark. I wanted to get some night shots of planting corn. I put the drone up in the air, couldn't tell where it was, ended up flying the wrong way and put it right into a tree. So we had to send that drone off to DJI to get fixed. The gimbal on it got monkeyed up and whatever. But this drone here I've had real good luck with. It's a DJI Mavic Air 2, and now the drone wants to fly home because the battery is just about out on it. So we're just going to stop on the headland here. I have about half the bin or so to finish offloading on the Sarah, but yeah, getting back to that tarp, it's just real handy to have on there. Our neighbor had one on his combine years ago. We kind of stole the idea from him. This combine has a Mauer grain extension on the bin, and I think Mauer originally sold the tarp, or there was a company in Canada that sold the original tarp, and then of course we've had to replace it a couple of different times. We've ripped it with tree branches. We've ripped it a couple different times, but yeah. So another thing I should point out to you, if I can fly the drone up there, the boot on the end of the auger here, I've had the damn thing come off 3 times, And Kaz Equipment ended up putting a new one on it during the winter. And what I've done to this boot, that rubber flap that goes over the end of the boot is not big enough, and I've had the damn thing come off twice when I've been on a side hill, believe it or not, with the auger going uphill. And what I did to the other one is I took two rubber flaps and bolted them together so that it created a larger opening. And that's what I've done to this one too. I ended up just using a piece of rubber belting, and I made that opening bigger just so that it didn't, you know, so it wouldn't create any pressure. So that's gonna do it for this video, folks. We are going to land the drone. I'm down to 13% battery, and we'll pull the drone up a couple more times here today maybe, but you can see the combine is real dirty. We're down to the last 150 acres or so, and the corn has a mold that's come into the top part of the plants. It's nothing that hurts the grain, but just as soon as we got the first rain shower here 3 weeks ago, the corn had sat, you know, no, it hadn't been rained on in quite a while, and the yeah, I've got low battery, so this damn thing's gonna land itself. So the combine is just black, and it is yeah. So I got critically low battery, and it wants to land itself. So we're gonna go ahead and fetch the drone, and we will catch you at the next video, folks. It's got like 3% battery. It doesn't want to land because it says that the area under the drone is not safe. So I don't know where the heck it is. It's right over here. And we bring it over like this, and we'll have to jump out of the combine and catch it. So thanks for watching, folks, and we will catch you at the next video.